plagued by reboots, haunted by sequels, dominated by the same old shit. Get ready for an original podcast that will gouge out your eyeballs and skull fuck you. Starring Ginger Josh, Adam the Hare, and introducing the immortal Frank. Hold on to your butts. It's the Game Rage Movies TV Podcast.
All right, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Game Rage Movies and TV Podcast. My name's Josh, here today with Adam.
Greetings, salutations, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. That's not how you say it.
Assalamu alaikum.
No, it's assalamu alaikum.
Malaika?
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salaikum salam.
Salaikum salam.
I don't know. Anyways, if you want to hear all other stuff, you go to GameRageMagazine.com. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag, YouTube, Game Rage Magazine on there. Also, you can follow at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram if you want to follow Adam. And you should go listen to the All Gas No Trash podcast, which is conveniently located at all the places I just talked about and anywhere you listen and consume your podcasts and whatnot. All right, here we are. The Bear, Season 3, Episodes 3 and 4. This show's starting to fucking suck.
It's falling apart.
I do not like this at all.
I think this is this is definitely the fucking Empire Strikes Back. I don't know if it's in a good way, but definitely the bad guys winning or the good guys not winning.
And also the show just being bad. Like listen, Empire Strikes Back was the best Star Wars movie, but this is not the best season of this show so far. These last two episodes prior to this, not good. These two, I mean, I don't like the tone now.
It's too, what's the word? I have to look this up. Well, what do you have to say about it?
It feels too proper, I guess. I don't know. It does that chaos from the first two seasons is gone. It feels like it's not really there. It feels like now that when Richie and Carmy yell at each other, it's like they don't really mean it anymore. Like I feel like there's no like, what is the word? Hate behind it. There's not enough hate behind it. It's like they're phoning it in almost. And I don't fucking like it. I can't believe this is happening to this fucking show.
I think it's the sophistication of the Bear evolving.
There you go.
It's so sterile and void of like any kind of
no personality,
feeling.
Man. No feeling, no nothing, dude.
And I'm not sure if it's intentionally that way because like that's how we're supposed to feel.
Yeah, I think that's probably on purpose. I would hope so.
To get the idea of, because this I think is intentional, obviously, or at least my interpretation is that it is intentional to reflect what Carmy is going through. That he's, because what was the last thing he said in the previous episodes of season 2, the final 2 episodes? He says, "I don't need amusement, I don't need joy." So now we're deprived of that.
Now
we have to go with it through. We have to go through it with him.
Yeah.
So it is intentional, I think. So I don't know if that necessarily makes it better or worse, but it's just deprived of any emotion or fucking, and even like the bear itself, probably reflective of Carmy himself, is like, it's so void of anything. It's so sterile. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's like a hospital setting within a fucking kitchen.
Yeah.
The only thing that has any kind of personality is like the front of the house, which is like the dining area, which is the part that Richie
is running.
So,
but it's also they're kind of just like we're just revisiting the same problems that we've revisited over the last 2 seasons. We don't have enough money to barely stay afloat. Now we don't have any. Not only do we don't have the money, but now we're spending too much money on dumb shit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's very. It's a weird feeling, and I don't know if I should be taking away points because this is what is intended.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'd rather. Well, again, the tone shift has been bad, and then also like I said, the same problem. It's same old shit. And I get it when you've been around on a show for so long, but like, let's move this along here. Let's get past the money issues, and let's move on into something else. Now, granted, whatever, we'll get into it. But go ahead.
All right, I guess we'll just get started on the episode we left off, or we were going to start, which is episode 3. So we start off with the funeral of Marcus's mom, and of course the entire staff of the Bear is there. And Marcus is recollecting about his mother and what she meant to other people, especially to him.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if this was directly to contrast his experience with Carmi's, whom we know Donna was kind of a nutcase, and his compared to Marcus's mother, at least from the description of her, that she was more or less a loving mother and was at least present in his life and try to make it a joyful experience to be a child. So then we cut over to service getting underway for the first real day of the Bear. And it seems like the Bear is emulating Chef Terry's, which I think the restaurant was called Ever, the restaurant that
like
Richie was working at. And they're definitely emulating like the transparency and accountability. They're going over their notes, making sure that they're accommodating for all the guests that they have. And then I'm not sure, this is me interpreting what's going on, but a lot of classical music is being played throughout the episode. And to me, it demonstrates how orchestrated, if not how curated, the service is of the Bear itself, how efficient they're moving, or at least they're attempting to be with the Bear. And then we start to see things fall apart with like Sweets having trouble opening a wine bottle. And then the service is starting to fall apart to the point that they're giving out free drinks to people to compensate for their food not being delivered on time. And then Carmi in the midst of all this is turning into a bit of a shithead. And Sid's unfortunately, she's kind of like the whipping boy or whipping girl for most of what's happening in the kitchen whenever things go awry. And Richie also feels as though, because of the fact that they try to keep everything perfect, that Richie's getting a raw deal because everybody in the front of the house or the dining area is asking about their orders, and he has to be the one that explains it to them. They're like, oh, we're trying to make it perfect and all this shit. And so he feels like he's getting sabotaged by the kitchen to get most of the blame, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then Cicero is pissed off about how much they're spending on produce, and Carmi changing the menu every fucking 10 seconds and not sitting well with pretty much anybody. And then Carmi flips out because Fact brings in a piñata for one of the guests. And I think he was trying to, I think he was salty about maybe the fact that if they do this type of shit, they're going to seem kind of gimmicky or bring down their level of sophistication for the restaurant itself, from like the cuisine to the service by doing this. And as I was saying before, I think Carmi is depriving the Bear of any joy or any amusement altogether, to the point that even the employees are being affected. I mean, shit. Sydney and Tina, nobody's having a good time. Like, Tina's supposed to be working like the ravioli or pasta. She can't get the fucking order right. And she's like flipping out because Carmi at this point is becoming kind of militant about how things are working. Sydney, and it's interesting to see that Sydney is contrasting Carmi in that when they're failing, she's not getting agitated and treating her coworkers like shit. She's like, all right, this is how you get the pasta ready. This is how you get the sauce ready. Let's get this going. Let's fucking make this work. Well, it's gonna be all right. It's not Carmi flipping out and turning the kitchen into a shit show. Fact presents. One of the funny things that happened in this episode was Fact actually delivering food to somebody in the dining area, and Carmi's like, "Are you sure you can do this?" He's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "You need to fucking take this broth, pour it, and then serve the guests." He's like, "Gotcha, boss." So he fucking walks out. He elaborates on what he's serving, serves the thing, or pours the broth on top of the vegetables and shit, presents it to them, and he fucking walks back into the fucking kitchen, which is fucking hilarious. And then Carmi flips out. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "This is a restaurant, you fucking idiot."
Because he did just tell him to go pour it in front of them. He made sure to say, "Go pour it in front of them," and that was it. He didn't tell him to like give it to him.
Yeah.
So like, Fack is kind of an idiot. So that, I mean, clearly that was his fault. That was Carmi's fault. You should have fucking been like, "Yeah, give it to them, but make sure you pour it and then give it to them. Like don't just tell them, okay, pour it in front of them and then that's it."
Honestly, I wouldn't even fucking take away from that one mistake. I know they're in like the Bear era of the restaurant and shit, but how many things has fucking Fact done for the restaurant itself altogether? And this is the one thing he gets knocked on. Like, he flipped out on him for like, what the fuck,
the only reason that the restaurant even exists is technically because of him. Because if they wouldn't have got that gas line issue fixed that he did in the last season.
Honestly, like, he should be showing more fucking respect for fucking, like, he shouldn't have done that, basically, in my opinion.
I agree.
So Carmi thinks Fact's an idiot, and then Richie comes to the defense of Fact, whom, you know, prior to season 3, they weren't exactly getting along either, but now that he's basically taken them under his wing, they're kind of comrades in the front of house. Cicero was, like, flipping out because he's like, dude, the expenses of trying to get farmers market shit, like the good shit, it's fucking running up the numbers, and we're barely profitable most days. And Ibrahim is having his own problems with the beef. Like, he's not able to get sandwiches out of the window quickly enough. And Richie and Sugar are deliberating over getting more people to the Bear. So what they're doing is trying to get people out the door like not every 30 minutes, but like once they reach a certain time limit, they have to get them out so they can get a new turn of people to make up the difference for the days that they're making losses, or not just for the days they're making losses, but just to be profitable every day. And every fucking day they have to clean the kitchen spotless every day by hand, which is already ridiculous enough, but according to Carmi, this is what it takes to become a Michelin star restaurant. And Richie's explaining the new strat they're going to be doing with people at the Bear to fill more people in the restaurant so that they can be profitable. And then as they're trying to implement this plan, there's people in the dining room and they're trying to fucking get them cleared. So Richie invites them to one of the guests, or rather a group of a party of 4 or 5 or whatever. He convinces them to go in the kitchen, and then they just kind of see like the shit show that ends up happening while Carmi's like cooking and getting everything in order. And not necessarily a good representation of like what the relationships are between the employees and stuff. So Richie, every day that they're coming up with the menu, Carmi's coming up with new ideas on the fly. And as Richie's presenting them, Sid's like also there to reassure him, like, oh, this is what's happening for the menu. And Richie's like, fuck me, like we're changing the menu 10 minutes before opening. And he's also like starting to panic with how frequently they change the menus, or how fucking Carmi's so manic about that shit. Sugar is trying to keep Cicero cool with how much money they're losing. And then Richie, I think this is for me like one of the more important parts of the episode itself, is when Richie and Carmi are fighting over a customer, one person that doesn't want mushrooms on the order, when it's kind of a pivotal ingredient in the plate itself. And Richie was saying, dude, it's not about you. It's not about you. Like, he's like, fuck that person. Like, they paid to come here to eat the food that we present to them, so they better fucking eat the mushroom. And he's like, well, is it an allergy, or is it just a substitute, whatever? So they were like losing their shit over that. But then it does like raise a good question about what a restaurant does. Should they be doing these type of things for a Michelin star restaurant, creating substitutions? Because they are trying to distinguish themselves for the plates and the culinary aspect of the restaurant. So like when somebody comes in and says, I want to change these things, it kind of fucking fucks what the original idea for the plate was. Yeah,
but I do think that they have to take that into account, because you are still a restaurant. Like, listen, I'll be honest. I'm not paying $175 a plate, or a sitting, I guess, to go and be like, oh, if I hate mushrooms, and you're like, no, you get the mushrooms. Okay, just fucking take them out. I'm not a food critic. And that's the other thing. If you're a food critic and you don't like a certain food, then you shouldn't be a food critic, because you need to be able to take the dish as intended, especially when you're doing these types of things.
Yeah.
So like, I could see that's probably where he's coming from, of like, nah, man, like you got to eat this dish as designed, or else it's not going to be the same. But it's like, shit, man, if you hate mushrooms, then I'm going to hate the dish. So just take them out. And they go above and beyond to blow people's minds with all this shit, but yet you're going to let this fucking be the thing? This is the hill you want to die on, is you didn't want to take out the goddamn mushrooms? Like,
yeah. And I think Richie's on point with this one, is that they're in the business of hospitality, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, why aren't they doing what is in service of the people that they're trying to serve? So I don't know, man. That was like a whole thing, and I found it to be one of the more interesting points, or the most important or pivotal points of the episode itself. And I don't know, that line about Richie saying it's not about you, like, that's not just about the fucking plate that they were serving. That's just in general. Like, the bear itself is no longer about just Carmi. I mean, Marcus is like, this fucking restaurant better work for all of us, because we all have a stake in it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a partner, but he's an employee, and he cares.
Right. Yeah.
So then, post this event with the mushrooms, Cindy is like, I don't know, she's gonna have an aneurysm or a stroke, because
yeah, man.
Carmi and Richie are basically fighting. And I'm not sure exactly what this was about, but Richie steps out to the front of the house, the dining area, and he sees a fork and a bag on the floor, and they kind of emphasize this for a good 3 to 5 seconds on each thing. I don't know what that was pertinent to.
Yeah, I didn't know what they were fucking trying to say with that one. That one kind of threw me for a loop a little bit.
So then the plates, as they're going through their service and they're working towards the end of the night, the plates start piling up, and one of the dishwashers cuts their finger on glass, and that kind of fucks everything, because it's like, well, if you have water and glass, it's like it's transparent, so you basically have to clean everything out to.
Yeah, you're basically fucked.
So Carmi's expenses. So Sugar is like talking to Richie, or no, I think she's talking to Carmi about like the expenses of the restaurant. He's like, dude, you're the biggest expense for all this shit. You're ordering new expensive items like every fucking day. And then she's like, what's all this fucking business with squirt guns? And he's like, oh, that's fucking Richie with his stupid ass gimmicks to
somebody's birthday party.
Yeah. And then we come towards the end of the episode where Carmi's like losing his shit, like officially, where he just kept saying hands. And he just like looks like a little whiny bitch, like a 5-year-old.
Yeah, because he is one.
And he tells Sydney, he's like, they're going too fucking slow. And so Sid tells Carmi, she's like, I'm not your fucking babysitter. We will get through this, but you need to fucking calm down.
Calm the fuck down.
And then Sydney is also losing it as well, but she does a better job of internalizing it. And I don't know if it's a better job. I'm sure it's going to come out in some other fucking way, but that's how the episode ends.
Yeah. Again, the tone shift is like, I don't like it. I'm not liking it. I'm not digging it. I don't know.
I think it's just general bad mood. It's like they're in a better situation because the bear is officially open and they should be feeling good about that, but none of the characters seem to be fucking enjoying themselves. And there's one character, the cousin, the one that's working at the beef, like the one that says, you gotta slice the bread this way.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck is his name, dude?
I have no fucking idea.
They haven't fucking said his name yet. All right, so now we're going to progress over towards episode 4. So I'm not really sure why they're bringing this up again because we already know they broke up. And the Claire and Carmi shit in the dark, they're like talking about
this is
their days, their favorite days of the week. And for sure, Carmi's least favorite day of the week is Sunday because he's not at the restaurant and he doesn't know what to do with himself.
Yeah.
And Claire is concerned about him and his heart beating fast or some bullshit. And then Clara goes into her own exposition about...
Oh, you mean his fucking high blood pressure that he probably has from fucking years of all this nonsense?
Yeah. So then Claire goes on about like what her least favorite days are. Actually, before we even get to that, she asks about Carmi's scar on his hand because he burned his fucking hand on pot.
Yeah.
And then Claire is like, oh, shit. My least favorite days of the week are fucking... her least favorite days in general are 4th of July and St. Patrick's Day because people end up getting hurt the worst on those holidays. And apparently to her, one of the days that she was working, some girl that was beautiful or whatever ended up tripping and falling on a glass on one of these 2 days and basically cut herself or eviscerated herself. And as a result of Claire's response or reaction to what was going on, being stressed out and everything, she read her chart wrong and gave her penicillin when this woman was already, or rather she was allergic to penicillin. And she's like, oh man, this is like one of the worst fucking days, is like having to deal with some type of situation like that where you're trying to be helpful to people and you ended up making it worse. And this girl ended up being covered in stitches and everything. And after she got out of surgery or whatever, she was laughing. And they were on this whole topic about how, well, at least with Carmi's cut, or his scar, that he didn't realize the pain until after the fact, like well after the fact. And this girl that had gone through kind of a similar traumatic experience, maybe not through burns, but through cuts, that she was laughing because the pain hadn't fucking hit her yet. So I'm guessing that's kind of a foreshadowing that the pain hasn't officially settled in Carmi's mind, that, you know, he's no longer going to be with Claire. So I'm just kind of over the whole fucking Claire and Carmi shit, personally.
That was the worst timeline.
So then we cut over to Marcus's...
Wait a minute.
What
happened? Oh, there it goes. Okay, never mind. We're good.
Okay. So then we cut over to Marcus, who was hanging out in his mother's room, and he ends up turning on a few machines, if not one machine, to just have that air of familiarity about the routine that he would have with his mother as far as taking care of her.
Yeah, that was sad.
That was kind of depressing.
That was super fucking depressing.
And then we cut over to Sid, who is still in the camp of not signing the contract of whatever her arrangement with the Bear is at this point, the partnership stake, what her pay is going to be. She still hasn't reviewed that. And then even with that, she decides to move into an apartment. I gotta say, man, I am not a big fan of Sid's fucking dad being a fucking such a negative Nelly about everything, about the apartment. Like, he was finding like the most minute things to gripe about. And then I think it's obvious he doesn't want his fucking daughter to move out because I'm sure he's concerned about if he can even take care of himself, or maybe it's not even that, but maybe that's what Sydney is thinking is like, well, if I fucking move away, he's basically on his own and he's already in his older years and he's not taking his meds. Because that was something that was brought up in the previous episodes, that he wasn't doing certain things.
Right.
And Sid was there to remind him of that. Then we cut over to Richie, who's talking to his daughter about her mom's fiance. And she brings up that both her and her mother think Richie is alone, but it wasn't specified what she meant by that. If he's alone in that he's lonely, or if he's just alone.
Yeah.
But not particularly a good meaning, I suppose, or whatever Richie extrapolated. I guess it was alluding to him being lonely.
Yeah.
And apparently Richie's daughter informs him that Aunt Dee Dee, who is Carmi's mother, is going to be going to Tiffany's wedding, which is Richie's wife. And she's like, that's fucking rich. Like,
yeah.
We'll see if she fucking shows up. So Richie, throughout this conversation, like, we cut over to another scene where he ends up back at his house and he takes off his wedding ring, which was, I guess he's kind of gotten around the idea that perhaps this fucking marriage is over, when he probably should have got the idea before the fiance even proposed in the first place. But then we cut over to Sugar and Pete, who are talking about Pete going away, and I'm not sure if this is exactly what was said, but something about Donna is going to be around, which is Sugar's mom. So she might be involved with her fucking pregnancy or her delivery. So that'll be concerning. Tina is like going shopping. So now we get to see her in the role of getting the farmer's market or like the produce shit. And the farmer is basically saying, he's like, dude, there's fewer seasons now to grow things. Therefore, I mean, you used to be able to get your entire supply for one, for pretty much your entire restaurant within one person. Now you have to go to like 9 different people. He's like, there's less time to grow vegetables. There's less seasons to grow vegetables. And it's just it's putting a lot of people out of business as far as the farming goes. And then he actually says this line, whatever grows together goes together. I'm not sure if that means that they're talking about people that after a certain point they go on their own separate ways, or they go together, you know, like a tree. Like a tree grows out, but it still grows together. I don't know. So Neil and Ted, who Ted is Neil's brother, are making a wall of critics so that when they come into the restaurant itself, they are informed, or they at least have an idea of what the critics look like, so they can give extra detail to the extra care for these critics that are coming in, because their goal is to get a Michelin star. So Carmi is like freaking out. He's like, oh fuck, these are all the people that are going to be reviewing me, and just not stoked about it, but he's like, fuck, well, if we're going to know our enemy, put them all in a fucking binder. And I don't know what the fucking, like I said, the character that's supposed to be Carmi's cousin that used to work in the Bear with him, I don't actually know what the character's name, but he was telling fucking Ibrahim, he's like, you need to fucking cut the bread a certain way so you can get people what they want immediately. Oh shit, wait, I skipped a line. Yeah, well, anyways, so Ted is assigned to cutting bread with Ibrahim, Ted being Neil's brother. So now he's starting to earn a little bit more respect around the restaurant. Like he has Carmi's approval. Carmi's cousin is criticizing Ibrahim with his sloppy upkeep. Carmi's cousin suggests that how to keep the beef flowing like a hospital. And Ibrahim is like, oh, I worked at a hospital. A lot of people fucking die.
Many people die.
Frank and Richie. Frank, who the fuck is Frank? Oh, Frank is Tiffany's fiance.
Yeah.
So they're talking. He's like, man.
And of course, man, it's fucking Josh Hartnett fucking playing this fucking guy.
Who the fuck is that?
He's like an actor, dude, that's like in all kinds of movies and shit. And he's like, I mean, he's pretty famous, and he's like known as like a handsome fucking like actor guy. So it's like, oh, of course, some fucking handsome fucking asshole comes and swoops her up. And fucking Richie's left out in the dust. Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, so then Richie and Frank are having this conversation. He's like, man, I should have asked you for
permission.
Her hand in marriage. He's like, I'm not her fucking dad. Like, what the fuck are you asking me for? Or why would you even want to have that conversation? And then Richie's kind of like poking and prodding him. He's like, oh, so how'd you get this fucking house? Did your parents pay for it?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, no. He's like, they're divorced and they don't even fucking like each other. So there's no fucking chance. Like, I got any help from my parents. And they're still trying to figure out whether Richie's going to go to the wedding or not. That's something that's kind of been thrown in the storylines for Richie. It's is whether he's going to go to Tiffany's wedding, his ex-wife. And then we have Sid encountering somebody that worked at Ever, the Chef Terry restaurant. He was the asshole that said, fuck you, Garrett. Runs into Sid and says that the restaurant is awesome and that everything's great. Points out a scallop dish that wasn't something that was created by Carmi.
Yeah.
And said, this isn't like Carmi, but it's fucking great. And it's a dish that Sid fucking made. So that, you know, that makes her perk up a little bit. But obviously being outshined by Carmi being the fucking dictator of the Bear, like not really getting a whole lot of creative input as far as the restaurant goes. So then we cut over back to Sid ending up at the restaurant, and they're basically arguing about how things changed so abruptly, and that Carmi, while the ideas are better to do certain things a certain way or use certain ingredients, she's like, it's not really about that. It's the fact that you keep sabotaging us by not informing everybody fucking else. Like, you're just kind of doing things without running it by other people. And then they have like a brief moment where they're asking about each other's personal lives. Carmi asking about the apartment and Sid asking about Claire, if he's contacted her, not really with any luck or anything like that. And then Sugar and Richie are talking about the Michelin stars. And apparently Richie does not care about Michelin stars because he's he makes it a point that he's a Pirelli guy.
Yeah.
Italian tires. And then in the midst of all this, Richie is like posting a photo, which is kind of fucking depressing because he kind of goes on this whole spiel about this photo, about a Zen garden and how the stones are placed within the garden itself in the sand, and how every person, or rather every rock is like a representation of a person and how alone we all are. And Sugar is familiar with that concept because her husband is like a big fan of this artist that took this photo or whatever. And then Richie and Sugar are talking about parenting, basically saying that Sugar is concerned about being a parent so she doesn't pass on whatever she's got in her head or whatever past experiences she's had with her mother. She doesn't want to pass it on to their daughter. And then Richie's just kind of talking about how his daughter thinks that he's alone, and he's like, I'm not even sure if I should be involved with my own daughter because everybody thinks that Frank is so fucking great that like I just don't even know if I want to participate anymore because this guy is so fucking awesome. Like I just don't even know what I can contribute anymore. And then this particular episode wraps up with them just missing being profitable by like $5,000 that they needed to have more people come in to make it a day. Is it in the black?
Yeah.
To make it a day in the black, and it's Sugar is just kind of pointing out. He's like, dude, we're always like just out of range to make it in the profit, but that's just the way things have been going. And then it's dropped that photographers are coming to the bear itself, and Carmi starts freaking out because that basically means that they've already been reviewed and they didn't even fucking know it.
Yep.
And then everybody's fucking concerned about that situation.
Yep, indeed. And that's how it ends. So, I don't know. These 2 episodes weren't that great. I'm hoping that 5 and 6 pick up, and maybe they will. I'm done with the Claire nonsense. I'm done with it. I don't want to see it. Fucking go away.
Apparently, it put Rexy to sleep.
Yeah, Rexy was like, "Fuck this, I'm out." He's like, "Claire, dumb bitch, going to sleep." Yeah, she's the reason why it almost failed. Because he was fucking about.
I think it's more Carmi's fault more than anything, because he just doesn't know how to fucking. As much as he knows what to do with his own life and he gets in his own way, making poor choices, at least he knows what he wants to do, but it's him being indecisive and letting other things get in his way that sabotage the success of the restaurant. So I'm actually thinking what might end up happening is that this restaurant's gonna fucking blow up. Like, not literally, but that it's not going to work out, and they're just going to go back to being something of like a hybrid between the sandwiches and also making like, you know, his own creative dishes or whatever. Because this high-end restaurant shit, it already seems like it's not fucking working.
Working.
And then on top of that, I do like the presentation of this season. In the sense that Richie's wearing this black suit, and that within the kitchen itself, everybody's wearing a white attire. So like he sticks out like a sore thumb.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know, it's just kind of like a visual thing that there is dissent or there's discord amongst the ranks. That there is like a division between the front of house and the back of house, and that's something that's even noted by, I think, Richie himself. He's like, dude, there is no working relationship between both ends. Like it's fucked, and it's evident that it's because we don't fucking get along, referring to Richie and Carmi. So that the fact that that's kind of being displayed through their clothing is, and also the environment itself is very. I do like that about the season itself.
Yeah. There aren't all. It's not all bad, but so far I feel like they're getting to the point. I feel like they've taken too long to get to the point with this now. I feel like 3 seasons is. I feel like 3 seasons in, we should already fucking know outcomes to these things. This should be, the restaurant either was initially a success or a failure going into the 3rd season, and the 3rd season's them facing some new obstacles or whatever. So I don't know.
I think I'm gonna withhold my opinion until the end of the season.
Yeah, probably, but. I'm not. I just said what I thought right now. That's what I think right now in the moment. So I'm not giving it a ranking or anything yet, or score, but it's definitely something, I don't know, something to think about. Anyways, all right, fuck. We got anything else?
No.
All right, cool. That'll be the end of it. So you can go to GameRageMagazine.com. You hear all of our other stuff. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine, Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. YouTube, search Game Rage Magazine on YouTube, and you'll find all of our stuff. You can also go to follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram, and you can go listen to the All Gas No Trash podcast, which is conveniently located where I just told you about everything. And so go do that, and stay tuned for the next episodes where we talk about 4 and 5, episodes 4 and 5, or 5 and 6. I mean, yeah. So whatever. Stay tuned. All right. Peace out.
Oh, hey there, buddy. It's me, 1930s announcer guy, here to congratulate you on making it through this episode. as our heroes are getting in their jalopies and riding off into the literal sunset, they wanted me to tell you thanks for listening to their radio broadcast, and should you be so kind as to follow them on some fancy schmancy radio station publication called Instagram and TikTok at Game Range Magazine, and on some other thing called Twitter/X at Game Range Mag. Also, they wanted me to inform you and ask if you could be so kind again as to visit something called the website at www.GameRageMagazine.com. I don't know what that is, buddy, but you should probably go do those things. And, don't forget to tune in next time to the Game Rage Movies and TV radio broadcast.